how we view the opposite sex. Now, I could start off by saying to us, one of the reasons why we look at the opposite sex the way we look at the opposite sex, and that's going to come up in my teaching, the reason why we look at the opposite sex the way we look at the opposite sex, most of us, is because of how we were indoctrinated, how we brought up, and that trigger off a lot of thoughts and ideas and cause us to go into emotions and desire. And it all has to do with how we were brought up. And not only how we were brought up, but also within the society that we live in, how the opposite sex view each other. And so you can hear it on the street, you can hear it in school, you hear it at home sometimes, and you hear it all over the place. And what do we highlight, and what is the main objective of our view towards the opposite sex? Those things hold us captive. And the only reason why it holds us captive is because how we learn it. And we learn it in a way that we put emphasis on different eras of people. Emphasis. And because we put emphasis on different era of people, then whenever time we be exposed to those era, it trigger off something because we develop that frame of mind to think that this is important and this is a big deal. Do you ever wonder why sometimes you have people who make big deal out of certain things that you would not even see as a big deal? And they are excited and you wonder why. Because they grow up into an environment that they were excited about certain things when you didn't. And so therefore the same thing can be here, and you can be all getting all crazy. Ah! And they're like, what's the big deal? Because they don't see it. They don't look at it the way you look at it. And so these are the issues that I'm going to talk about. These are real issues in church. If we can master this, we'll fix 3/4 of the problem that we have in church. With male and female, boys and girls, men and women. Fix it. We fix adultery, we fix fornication, we fix all that, we fix lusting of the eye. Okay, we're going to go into the topic and so we talk a little about this. And we're really going to get graphic in some of these areas that we're going to go as we go on. There are some words that I have that I am thinking about, really have to adulterate it because it's too graphic. And so therefore I find the right word that I could use in order to reduce the stigma of it because of what we learn. Alright? From the very beginning of time, the attraction to the opposite sex has always excite. The opposite sex always excite. No, most time when a group of men is here and they're doing things, sometimes when they find a female, especially a female coming in the midst, it changes the whole environment, changes the whole setting. You know, different things start. Sometimes more than one man try to make friends with the female, just trying to talk and trying to complain and she's my body or whatever. Different people, different view, it changes. So we recognize that it's the opposite sex, and then we start to think. The reason why we start to think what we don't supposed to be thinking is because of what we learned while we were growing up. Yeah, while we were growing up and the environment that we are in, that's why we do that. And it bear with me because I was able to explain that to you and see if it can help you in your walk. And it is commonly said, opposite attraction. So it was with Adam when God introduced him to Eve. Listen to this carefully. God introduced him to Eve. Immediately he saw something in her that he did not recognize in anyone else. Do you remember in the old statement that God saw that man was lonely and he bring animals to him, and he could not find a companion for himself, nothing that he could relate to. But as soon as God bring the woman to the man, he saw something that he could relate to. Now, I don't want you to jump. I'm going to keep on correcting our mind while I'm teaching on this topic. I have to re-correct in our mind because it jumped in my mind too, so I have to re-correct in our mind. I don't want us to think because Adam was attracted to Eve, there was any sin or lust involved in this exercise that I'm talking about. This attraction was something that somebody that I could relate to, and it is as simple as that. You will not find nowhere in the scripture where anything more than that. It was something that he was attracted to, in other words, that he could relate to. You get that? Something that he could relate to. So when he saw Eve, he could have related to her, not by sexual relate, but somebody that you happen, just like when you see your buddy as a friend or an ex-female, see an ex-female in the natural and say, yeah, somebody we can talk to and we feel good. Just like when you be at one place and you feel lonely and you have no friend, you have somebody you can hang out and talk to. You're not looking nothing from them, but there's somebody you can talk to. This not exactly because we haven't seen, but this was almost exactly the point when Adam saw Eve. That was what going through his mind. That was it. No sex, no lust, nothing. Just relate. And I'm pausing on this because I know our mindset in a different era, and I want to get rid of that. So he saw somebody that he could immediately interact with and recognize someone else. His desire for her was bond and be close to a newly met individual. You just want to bond. You know what people realize? Naturally, young people use some word nowadays. You're supposed to get the picture when they say you just want to bond. No sexual agreement, nothing like that. You just want to bond. Just to get to know the person and just start to talk and just, yeah, there's somebody here, or you're in your country with pure white and you're black, and you're looking for male or female, just, yeah, there's somebody, we can bond. This is the type of bonding, or almost like the type of bonding that we're talking about, as an individual close to. We don't even, and in that time, Adam didn't even think about sex. It has nothing to do with sexual attraction. So I am relating something to rewind our mind from where we grew up. So bonding with her has nothing to do with sexual attraction. It was just another person that he could relate to. There's another person that I'm going to point out some point to you, and that you can see where I'm going with this. Because this is a big struggle in church, and let me pause again to say it again, because I'm going to keep on pausing most of the time to reinforce it. This is a big trouble in church, why we as male sometimes hard to relate to every female with that level. And as you start to talk to a beautiful and attractive girl, then different feelings start to, you start to feel gravitating love emotionally. Well, in the case of Adam, there was none of that. This was mutual friendship. And the reason why we fall into that category, we as preachers should not really blame the church or the young person because of the environment in which they grow up in, and they were thought to look on the opposite sex. And because of that, it triggers something in your mind, and it's also mixed with emotional feelings. Now, Adam, in this sense, never had any sexual attraction to Eve. There was no sexual attraction. So get that clear. There was no sexual attraction. He just met her as an individual and somebody that he could relate to. No sexual thing going through his mind. We're going to read first scripture verse to help us as we go on. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 18 to 25. Genesis chapter 2, 18 to 25. Let's find it and read it. 2:18.
And the Lord God said, "It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him."
Right.
And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an helpmeet for him.
So Adam had all of this, but Adam a pure environment. Adam, like, you go to a country, and I'm just using because most black maybe here. You go to a country and you feel a pure white person, even though you're relating to them, but you don't feel that bonding. Until you go back up a little black person one corner and then like a man, I told me alone there, man, and you know, you think, nothing, no sexual, you don't really want nothing from them. You're just happy that you have somebody that you can relate to. And especially the person from the Caribbean like you too, then you can relate to them and that and everything. You feel comfortable because there is somebody you can relate to. Has nothing to do with sexual attraction because Adam did not see anything that he could relate to. Read on. So you see the text. Let's move on.
And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh there instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is not bone of my bones.
So he's comparing himself with who he's going to relate it to. Yeah, this is a black person like me. Read on. Flesh of my flesh.
Bone of my bones.
Bone of my bones.
She shall be called woman.
She shall be called woman.
Because she was taken out of a man.
Because he was taken out of a man, the man could have relate to her. Nothing, no emotional, sexual emotional. I want us to follow this text. And this is so important in the church today. And I'm so glad I come up across this text because I want to release some people of the struggle that they have mentally, spiritually, intellectual. This will release you. So he relates to her on a natural bonding. Read on. Verse 25.
Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
No, one of the things that keep on bothering me, and as I go through this text, keep on worries me that I want to see the church. That's why God helped me to be stand by God. I want our sisters to just appropriately. And this is where I want to take it. I want our brothers to just appropriately. I don't want to be seeing people wearing too much tight, showing all of it, because we're grown with a stigma to observe these breasts, butt, and thigh, and all the hips and the chips. So we want you to dress properly, that we don't have to cross boundaries in order to look at a brother or a sister. And that's what one of the things that I wanted to develop. So going back to dress code, that's why I want to bring in dress code and a different angle than what we have over the years learned in church. Now, we see wherein if you started to do that, you eliminate some of the loss. And I'm going to get to the point, so nobody ask a question because God have given me a gift when I'm teaching people somewhere along the line asking questions, so I'm going to answer the question that you're asking as the Lord put them into my mind. So don't bother talking about the man don't want to look at the woman and lust or whatever. Don't forget, the environment that we grow up into, we emphasize lusting based upon certain things that we see. So we don't help to get over it. In a different country, we grow differently, we're able to move over it. But this is who we are. And so in dealing with it, we need first coming proper dressing. And the proper dressing means when I look at a sister, I don't supposed to look at her and see sex, emotional, want to go to bed, lust. I'm supposed to look at her, see another person, want to relate to her, another person. What that helped me to do is to develop respect for the individual, trust for the individual, high esteem for the individual. Not to look at them as a slave trade or a sex slave, whatever. You want to look at the person and be able to respect the person for who the person is, and without bringing into the picture a sexual wound. And so the principle of having this dress within the church of God, it is not that we are trying to make you feel clothed up and make you look old, but we are making a principle that when a man walk up to a woman, the first thing he must learn to respect her as a person. Because most of the time when these love affair in church, We don't observe each other as a person and respect them as a person. It's like the girl that looks sexy, the girl that look attractive, the guy that look nice or whatever. I'm gonna want it because that's a charming man or whatever, or it's a rosy girl. So cut out all those saying. Do you really respect the person as a person? And that's why we have a problem in relationship and marriage, because we approach, our approach to the individual wasn't in a respect as a person. And maybe because of the way they present themselves or the way that you see them. And so therefore our frame of mind towards people is totally out. And so therefore we divert into lusting and all type of stuff and imagination. When we can start to do men that in church, then we start to mend self-respect. Everybody's crying out, he don't respect me, she don't respect me. Let's start to do this and start to develop the basic, what we need within a relationship is to respect the person as an individual, as a person that you can relate to. Because if we don't know how to relate to the person on the basic, it doesn't matter if sex come into the picture, it don't matter if you're lying to bed into the picture, you're still going to have the same mindset and you're going to be struggling with the same problem because of how you look at the person. We're going to move a little further. Read on a little further. 25.
And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed.
So, look at this. When he met her, she was born naked. He was bare naked. It didn't bother her. It didn't bother him. Why? Because the objective was not a sexual objective. The objective was to relate to the other person as a person. And don't forget now, Adam was into an environment where he did not grow up with an environment that instilled that breast means sexy, our butt means something, our one private part means something. It didn't mean anything to him. All he cared about is to relate to an individual. And because of that, sex wasn't in the picture. And so therefore, there's no need to be ashamed, because people feel shameful of things because they feel within what they learn, this is not appropriate to look at. He never had such thought. Adam never had such thought. So both of them were naked. Adam could look even the eye and talk. We don't have to scan her from head to foot and feel like they want to lie with her. You can find people do that today. If a woman or a beautiful man stand before them naked and they will actually dumbstruck. They can't have a proper conversation because, I don't want things going through your mind like, oh, you want to take this girl to bed now or whatever. Because of the stigma that we grew up with. Adam had no problem like that. Adam had nothing about that in his mind. All Adam had, all Eve had, is to have a relationship based upon respecting each individual where we can talk and communicate. The church lose that. Our society lose that. That's why we have these issues in church and people struggle with these in church. So basically, go back to what I'm saying with the basic of Adam. So you may say in your spirit, and some of you may think about saying it, that's why we emphasize on clothes dressing. We have to emphasize on clothes dressing because we now plunge into an era of sin where we're downloaded to observe certain member of your body. And so therefore it becomes a problem now. So we have to do what we're doing in order to maintain what we are maintaining. But if we have the same pure mind without sin, there will be no need for clothing and it wouldn't affect anybody and you would not be ashamed. Because listen what the scripture says in verse 25, chapter 25. They were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. Why do you feel ashamed? Anytime shame comes in, because of sin came in. Sin came in, that's why shame came in. Person coming to your privacy, you feel embarrassed because the person sees you that way. You also have a frame of mind that the person sees you this way, you feel embarrassed. Because you never have to feel embarrassed. Bishop, what are you talking about? I will tell you, you look at a little baby girl running up and down in this place, naked in the air bound, and she don't feel embarrassed if you saw her naked. Why? Because no, sin don't step in the picture. She don't observe her body parts as nothing private to be ashamed of anything. And a young little boy running up and down, don't have on no brief, and the little girl don't have on no panty, and they run all over the place, run and roll over. It don't bother him and it don't bother her. Why? Because they don't observe each other sexually. They are playing a game, and all what they're interested in that they have somebody to play with. Until sin stepped into the picture, it changed the whole scenario. I want us to stay with that. So we are in church now, and there are issues that people are struggling with church. It's because of the information that don't load in your mind growing up as a child until you becomes a man. No, you start to observe certain things that weren't there in the first place. Praise God. They were naked, and up to the point Adam had not tried any sexual advance. Adam did not see Eve and try to lie with her. No time at all you find it in the scripture. There was no sexual advance after her. Eve wasn't twinkling his eyes of Adam and trying to bring Adam on. And Adam never had no reaction towards her because of any sexual. And they were both naked. Up to that point, before sin came in, there wasn't an issue. No issue. No sexual attraction. Nothing like that. That's what the scripture said. What God wanted was for a man to love a woman outside of physical attraction. From the beginning, this is exactly how it was. Adam recognized she was flesh of his flesh and bone of his bone. But he was not a dominant about getting her into bed. Adam never had any desire to get Eve to bed. Nowadays, even when you have on clothes and you start to talk to a guy, he starts to get sweet to you. Sometimes, most of them, their intention is to get you into bed. Praise God. Adam didn't have that because he observed her as a partner. That's where the church want to take back all our mindset, because we already been downloaded in society with so much bad concept of how to look at the opposite sex. And I'm speaking on how we look at the opposite sex. Adam never really had that. That wouldn't bother her. He didn't want to get her in bed. According to Genesis chapter 2 verse 25, they were naked. No, one man and a woman naked, you expel them out of church, you say them do something. And most people come and say, you can't tell me that anybody has done nothing. They walk in the room and see both of them naked. It's not supposed to happen. It's not supposed to happen. And we start to take it to the exam. Why? Because our mind are so carnal. Because with us, we can't be with somebody in a room naked and it doesn't bother you. It's because of your mind. Because of your mind setup. They were naked. And up to the point Adam have not tried any sexual advance in order to really becomes an empowered man or woman. You cannot focus on their sexuality but their humanity. In other words, when you're talking to the opposite sex, you should not be focusing on the person's sexuality. You should be more focusing on their humanity. So if you're focusing on their humanity, you have less problem, you have less loss in church. And so the problem is society teaches us to focus on the sexuality. I am telling us we need to focus on the humanity. So, so in other words, the scripture said, one area said that a male or female, in other words, is your focus. Don't focus sexuality. Focus humanity. It's another person, just like I am a person. She's another person. And that's one of the focus that we need. We must focus on them as humanity, not sexuality, but their humanity. How was special Eve must have felt to be naked in front of Adam? Feel good. Eve feel very special to naked in front of Adam, and he being more focused on her other person than focusing on her breast. Adam wasn't focusing on her breast because she was naked. He wasn't focusing on her butt. Neither was he focusing to attract him. Did not allow the eyes to attract him. Neither did he indulge Adam into sexuality to desire her. He did not ask a float to desire her. I'm going to show us something that happened in the church today is because of what we learn in society and we emphasize on it. So there was no sexual advance to Adam and Eve, and they were both naked. You know, looking at them, if you take up some naked woman, and some man will really laugh about, wow, she have a nice pretty breast. Wow, her butt is broad. And I hear that for the name, wow, man. You know, we grew up in a society when men look at them and say, man, you need a piece of that thing. And so we grow up with that frame of mind. And even when you get into the church, you still have that frame of mindset. But I'm saying, when we need to come down to that, we need to look at each individual as a person, male and female. With all the intention of God for you to get together, but the way that we desire and we look at each other is totally wrong. That's why we have so much struggle in church when it comes to the opposite sex. So we should not focus in or indulge. She didn't indulge. The display showed Adam that a conversation is more important than sex. That time when Adam and Eve talking to somebody or relate to somebody was more important than sex. Sex wasn't the first method. All of us have the problem, including myself. I'm not very exclusive. When we grow up, that you have a girl and you know, when the next thing you learn, we're going to have sex. But when Adam and Eve was put together, a conversation was more important than sex. In today's society, in 90% or 80% of our society, when it comes to the opposite sex, when we think and deal with them, what we think about is sex and attraction. We don't think about the opposite sex as another individual related to. We relate to a man easier because we grow up into a society that teaches man to man, we talk as a brethren and that's it. Or girl to girl, they talk about a female, that's it. As long as they don't cross the boundary, you know, we can relate. Two girls can take shower and they never feel sexual desire for each other and go. I used to be into a bathroom when I was in the United States. 12 of us are bathed in the same bathroom. And when I say 12 of us are bathed in the same bathroom, I don't mean curtain parts. We need a big room and pipe all the way around the block. Like even bigger than church hall and pipe would be all the way around. Everybody are bathed and take their shower and you see to everybody. Nobody just feel like they want to love nobody. Because they are male. Why? Because we grew up into a society and say, well, the man I want to show that are him and him. You don't want to think nothing about that because you don't grow up or thought to think into that manner. So it doesn't bother you. You take a shower and man, go to the business and you go on and people want to cuss or quarrel in the shower. They curse and quarrel in the shower. Take a shower and take a rag and go about the business. You go about your business. There's no sexual attraction is going on in here even though everybody is naked. I experienced that. I ain't telling you something that I don't experience. I experienced that. 7.5 years I experienced that type of lifestyle. When we take shower with another man in the same bathroom. For those of you who never go working into the Navy and never go into some big camp, maybe you never experienced that. Two girls taking shower in the same bathroom has nothing to do with it. So because we were growing up, we brought up to look at men. Nowadays society is not changing, so man starts to say, "I fall in love with man." And the Bible tells you that's totally wrong. So you see, we go step to regard even over bounds. So what I'm saying to us that the frame of mind that we have towards another man should be the same frame of mind we have towards a female when we're relating. Praise God. Praise God. So we're talking about why we struggle. We struggle because there's something that was downloaded in our mind, how to think, how to look at the opposite sex. And whenever time we see something, it triggers off a whole lot of stuff running through our mind and cause us to go into the era of lust and desire. Praise God. So the conversation, all he wanted was conversation. There was nothing. So often, Adam and Eve were talking, the conversation was more important to them than sex. This should clearly make the statement, I love your present, not your body. That's what it's saying. I love your present, not your body. The problem with our society today and the church today, most of us, when we're talking to the opposite sex, what we fall in love with is the person's body. She pretty, him handsome, attractive or whatever. All of those things that you can see, the lust of the eye. You don't really love the person. You still love the person present because of the attraction. What we need to do is to remove the image out of our mind and just want the individual present, just to know that person is there. Adam liked to have Eve present, not sexual attraction. That's what he desired. So we can see the display of them, the statement, you love her present, not her body. So often women and men are just looking at each other as sexual tool. How does a man look at a woman? A sex tool. How woman look at a man? Sex tool. I want to get in bed with that man. That man seems like he's nice. That girl, I just want to get into bed. I want a piece of her. And those talking you hear in the street, the people take those same talk in church. Why? Because we are not learned. We don't learn how to think. Lord Jesus, help us. And we repent. And we grow up into a society and an environment where nobody teaches us how to think about the opposite sex and how to approach this opposite sex. The church failed of teaching this. But I'm telling you tonight, you don't need to look at the person as a person. And that's why we're into a society that's already been hurt, already been abused. We need to take heed of how we put ourselves together because we already have so much hurt in order for us to wind ourselves out of that and able to get ourselves healed. I'm teaching and I hope that this is the start of some healing desire some of us have. This behavior is learned. How to look at the opposite sex as a sex tool. That didn't just come out naturally. We learned it. That's why we keep our children in church and they don't learn certain things. They're like, oh, no, the parents don't allow me to go to the world to do that. People learn bad behaviors. Learn to fool around. Learn to jump in bed from different. Don't you know that even in this society, some people don't know what it is to jump in bed from one man to the other or from one woman to the other. They learn a principle when they're growing up. You sleep with one woman and not everybody in church do it and see about there who would believe just to stay with one person and be faithful until death. And they learn that, they practice it and they behave that way. They're not crossing the line. In society, we learn so much things, we pick up so much things, we become so confused. So this job, we can make a single, solid commitment. We want to be involved in everything. We want to be everywhere. You can't be everywhere, and you cannot be involved in everything. Praise the name of Jesus. So the Bible teaches about love and relationship. There's a reason the Bible is stating on that. How you look at the opposite sex. Woman and man just looking at each other as a sex tool. This behavior is learned. Where did we learn to look at women and men as sex object? When did we become so obese with certain part? No. All of a sudden now, we get all, what you call it, caught up with certain body parts. And certain body parts now becomes one of the main emphasis of how you dress, how you put on your clothes, whatever clothes you put on to show a certain things, whatever pants you put on to show certain things, shirt you put on to show certain things, the clothes a woman wear to show certain things, the blouse must look certain way to show certain things, skirt must look certain way to show certain things. And why we come? Because we learned that somewhere from somebody, and that's a bad principle to learn. You walk around in the church and this is what, you talk to some people like, I have to put myself together, I have to look nice and attractive. Why did you put on your clothes? Why you dress up so? Did you dress up the way you dress up for God, or you dress up because you want to look attractive to somebody else? Because if you're free in your mind, you dress because you want somebody to look at you. When somebody look at you, you turn around and say, why are you looking? Because we grow up into a society to look at people just certain way. And you also, who act as if you are so also holy, know that, so you dress a certain way because you want somebody to look at you. You call that spirituality. It has nothing to do with spiritual and church. Folks, it's because of the dress code that we wear in church. And so I gotta wear a blouse. And even if the blouse with a button up here, we put it halfway down here. For what reason? Because I want to look good. But man like when they just pull down there. Why did he like it? Because it's sexually looking good according to what we learn in society. And not only because I see it look good, you also must say look good. That's why you present it before me. They ask me not to look. You act as if you are that holy. You are not that holy. Because if you were that holy, you would have known that you are in a society where some creep or some man will look at woman and lust them. So you would have put yourself together properly for nobody to look at you to lust. You want to tell me that you are that holy? If you are that holy, then you just holy. Praise the name of Jesus. We're having these issues in church, and most time we look on the opposite side. Why the man always have to look at you, man? Don't she know that man always look at her? Why don't she just dress properly to cut down the look? Because you want them to look. You very well know what you're doing when you put your clothes on. Praise the name of Jesus. If the body like breasts, you know, to some man grow up to love breasts, like woman have a big breast or a nice round breast. You have woman now is even going to the doctor to get injection in their breast to get it round, put on certain bars here to push out here, and a nice little cleave to get the round edge here, because they say no. You know how many money that dollars some people spend on that in order to get these breasts here round and look the way it look, because they want to attract. If your body parts is the lips, they observe. You know the person injecting whatever gel in their lips in order to get a nice fat lips because they want to look strong. People inject things in their butt because they want to get a bro. Why are you doing all of that if you weren't looking sexual attraction from somebody else? Are you not comfortable with yourself or the way that God made you? And so therefore this picture had been painted in society of what to look at in a woman and what to look for in a woman. So I like a woman with a big breast and a big butt and a nice thigh and a nice lip or a round cute nose, and you take it all out of yourself, go fix yourself to look just like that, by the bra, just to push your breast up because you want to say they want to look. I sure ain't doing that for your own self, because you can't see yourself when you're walking down the street. The folks from the church want to bring the world in the church and say, what are you talking about in church? That's why we have so much lust issues and so much struggling over the flesh. People basically come to church, have struggle and problem with the flesh. The husband can't just stay with your own wife, our wife can't stay with your husband because they feel that Johnny have a lot more muscle and that the man would have worked better in a bed, or this woman more prettier, or she have a better breast or a better butt, and I could have a more better time and enjoy every time. All these are just lustful of the eyes and the presentation of what we learn in society, and so therefore it take a hold of your mind and make you start to lust and wandering in all various type of imagination. Praise God. Help us, Jesus. So we grow up into a society where we learn to observe breast, butt, woman private part. When woman wear pants, now put on the pants and the pants close, and the man looking for he looked exactly to the location where private part is, because he was hoping that he could see further than what the pants show him. And that's what society teaches. And so therefore the brain clicking that way, as soon as they see something, they start to look. This was not something we were necessarily born with. That type of look, it wasn't something that, listen, Bishop, what do you say? Listen, I'm telling you, don't necessarily born with that. Because you go to some area, go to some country, go to some place, that's not a problem to some people. We learn it based upon how we grow up and the word that people use emphasizing around us. And so therefore it instills in our mind, so we think in the same line and we think in the same basic. And that's why you have struggle in church. But I'm here to help her to rewind our mind. And so we got to be careful at what we download in our spirit. Praise the name of Jesus. So it looks so important. Certain body part. This was not something that we born with. No, don't misunderstand me. sexuality, personality, and humanity is just not a God-given deal. Your sensuality, your sexuality, and all your personality that people run after. Not a God-given deal. So we try to create that image just in order to call somebody like you're doing something to get somebody's attention. These are things that people put value on. We should value the Spirit. That's a God-given deal. Every time you hear the scripture speak to us, it speaks to us about the Spirit. You must have the Spirit of God. Be spiritually minded. The Spirit. All what the scripture speak about Spirit. And what else? Soul. And present an individual. Neither Adam and Eve were gay. They weren't gay. Not because Adam didn't touch her. It don't mean he was gay. It don't mean Eve was gay. Because their personality and the perception of their mind wasn't in because of a sexual desire. He wants somebody to relate it to, and that was all of it. There was no sexuality involved, and they weren't gay. But they could hunger, be naked in the presence of each other without desire sex. They weren't gay. But it wasn't that, you know what? I was talking to this and I'm tempted to swing a different ear. It didn't bother Adam and it didn't bother Eve if they were naked in each other's presence. Even like us, I grew up into a family that most times society look at different. I grew up in a family that we were growing up with my sister. Right now in my sister's house. You think my sister then, I have 7 sisters. Think my sister they would care if I'm in the house and they pass and they underwear. They wouldn't business with me one bit. They don't care about that. They're gone about the business. They slamming door and hiding from me. That's the family that I grew up in. Because we didn't grow up like you don't desire your sister. Because you know that it's your sister. You could never think out of the box to desire your sister, desire your brother. I know people do that. Why? It's because of the frame of mind and what was downloaded in you. Because you see the opposite sex, you don't care who it is, has a sex tool. And that's why it happened. I never remember looking at any of my sisters and I say, I am lost in love. I never remember who desire want to go to bed with any of my sister. I would go to my bed already. I wake up in the night when my sister was on the machine. Close, man. Where am I in bed? Come on. You know about us? There was no sexual desire. Because what was installed in us, this was your sister. And whatever condition you see your sister in, and whatever condition you see your brother in, that didn't mean anything to us. And you know what? As a matter of fact, I grew up into a household that even if a strange woman or a strange girl was brought into the family, even if my brother and sister, and come live in the house, after a period of time, they become a part of the family. You know business with them. You know, I see documentary and I see different things where a guy looking for a woman and his best friend is there. And then talk about every other female that they see out there that they like. And the person beside them until they don't see them. Because in your mindset, you become too close to the family, you are out of the box of where I'm thinking. I wish the church would have some frame of mind like that. Not because the person appeared to somebody that means you look at them as sex food. What am I talking about? Why do I say all of that? Because our mindset, what I just said a while ago, I know some people will want to talk against what I said. You know why you're talking against it? It's because your mindset is not right. You can't stand into a room and see a naked woman and don't desire anything. Because you need to fix your mindset, because that's what you learn while you grow up. That's why you learn that. And that becomes a part of you. You can't help it but to do that. What I'm saying tonight is to help you to reset that mindset. Praise the name of Jesus. Reset that mindset. You can't be just one. And we learn to look at each other in that fashion. And we don't understand what God is saying to us. And so therefore people go out of the way to do that. We should value the spirit and the soul of the person. And that's what Eve and Adam do. Victory victory over sex temptation is to conquer the feelings or urge to want to value only sex parts. Now what we need to get over, we need to start to talk to ourselves now, start to encourage yourself, and all those body parts that society and your environment teach us to value, start to denounce them. There's no reason for you to look at a woman and you start to say, well, you like a woman with big breasts, big butt, thigh. Because when you see that, you're going to go crazy because that's about something that you embrace, attracts you. What we need to deprogram. Stop having parts, body parts, as attraction. We're in a society where we start to pinpoint out body parts of individual. When you look at a man or a woman, what do you think? I don't want to be looking at her and think that I want to go to bed. I want to look at her and have a respect that I'm talking to a person or an individual. How long before you think sex while you're talking to an attractive lady, attractive girl or man? I know much of this can be contribute to how a woman dressed today. Yes, much of it contribute to how a woman dressed today. And why? Because they also were brought up, learned to dress the way they, because they want to seek attention. Yeah, they do that. Because on the opposite side, they feel like the man like to see person, the person can compliment them, or wonderful they look, and they feel good. It's a sexual desire. How do you want a person to see as a sex tool, or look at you as another person and respect you as another person? But the eye had no clothing, but Eve had no clothing, and yet Adam was able to maintain his sex drive. Eve didn't have any clothes, but yet Adam never did go crazy. Adam never had emotion and erection walking all over Lord Jesus. No, it didn't bother him. He had no sex drive for that. Much of the problem today with sexual lust is that certain parts of the body have been highlighted about others. One of the parts that highlighted is thigh, hips, breast, private part, chest, butts, and now becomes a problem when these parts are seen, overshadow the true ability of the person present without thinking about their sexual part or continuing to talk to the person or staring at them. These parts becomes highlighted, and every time when you look at the individual, these are the parts you start to observe. Always wondering when did things change and why. One thing we know for sure is that after the fall of Adam, listen. So one thing we know for sure, because based on what I'm saying, after the fall of Adam, when Adam fell in the garden, Adam saw things different. When Adam sinned, Adam began to see things on a different level, different way. Eve started to see things different. Soon as sin stepped in, things start to change. So when Adam and Eve sinned, saw things different. In Genesis chapter 4, you see that. Declare Adam knew his wife Eve, and she conceived. This was after they sinned. After they sinned. Certainly, an attraction took place that led to seek. Before any of this took place, Adam simply said, "This is my bones and my flesh." All of this is become Adam value, Adam part. Today, much of the reason people don't see all body of men or women equally is because so often the way we dress tends to highlight or make certain body parts stand out. People dress certain way to make certain body parts stand out. God, this is what they want to show. So we grow up in a society, think about these things as really good. You know, you've been there, good. Good. And all of a sudden you can see a woman breast. You cannot lose concentration. Oh, wow. I just saw her breast. Man, it takes you a good time to get the idea of the picture out of your head. Why? Because we now put emphasis on breast. And to see how hypocritical the devil can make some of us be in church. Sister will say, why are you looking at my breast? No, he have a problem and she have a problem. Both have problem. What problem did he have? What problem she have? I'll tell you what the problem both of them have. She had a problem because she put emphasis on her breast in order to dress and expose her breast the way it is because she want to be seen. And you have a problem, can't see breast, we don't have to emphasize on that body part. So she highlighted him look, and breast becomes a highlighted thing in our society. Now, if I should elaborate on this a lot, there are some place or some country that doesn't care too much about breast. Yeah, some man don't like big breast. Some don't like small breast. Based upon how they go. What reason why when they want the breast want the big or they want the small? What problem should you have with breast? God-given breast. Why? It's because of the emphasis that put on it when you were developing. You pick it up from somewhere. Some people you grow up around and then they speak about the type of breast they go. I've been into a doctor's office one day while I was in the United States and some girls were talking about man. And they put emphasis on tall man. So the girl said, I will never talk to a man shorter than me. She don't care if he's rich, if he have a good heart, if he's kind or whatever. Or the emphasis was on men taller than them. And that's all they want. I don't care if it's a thief, murderer, liar, crook, whatever it is. I like tall men, and that's about it. The emphasis is on that. Based upon the environment that you are in and the things that you're struck in your mind that you're looking for. And then you will find men coming tall and trying to think, and you all will sweep off. Why? Because this now becomes a frame of your mind or highlighted things in your mind. That's why we have so much troubles in the church and issues that people cannot think badly. Because emphasis